Thank you. A day full of conversations, marketeers taking center stage, and now this, where we all can relate. I think with Insta around, we know, I mean, we can't watch more than, we don't have patience to wait for even 1 minute, And when it comes to commerce, we want the same rate of, we have the same rate of impatience. We want quickly, real time, where is my order or whatever, and we deploy messaging apps, chatbots. But the funny thing is sometimes the chatbots will be waving at you and you message them and then they just run away. So the context is that why must conversational commerce matter, Of course it does matter. It has come a long way where it was. So let's get some real-time examples, what brands are doing with it. Rajat, starting with you. Has conversational commerce become a tick mark also for some brands? Because some have a mature use of it. I mean, okay, let me put it this way. How mature is the use of conversational commerce right now as far as brands are concerned?
So hi, thanks. Great to be here, everybody. I'll start with the VLCC as the three core businesses that we have right now. One is the services business, where there is the clinics, where you offer all kinds of services from slimming to laser to Botox, etc. Then there are two product business lines. There's VLCC, which is the core product business, and then Ustra, which I was a part of and now is part of VLCC. So in all three, we have different stages of using bots. I would say it's the most advanced because that's where you're looking at some kind of answers when you go to the website. You want to understand what is the service that is right for you, what are the pros and cons. So we use that a lot more in our services piece. In the product, there are some challenges that we are facing right now. We've incorporated the bots, but like you said, it's the tech or the usage is not so advanced right now, so there are a lot of hiccups. And you don't want a bad customer experience. Like for us, a big challenge with the bots or using the bots is how do you get the vernacular guy or the guy in a smaller town to start buying. This may be his first experience to buy. Can we make it easier for him using a bots? I think we are facing a challenge there because at least in the regional languages or in that interface is not so well developed. But like I said, in the services business, we are seeing good traction, good results with using bots.
Ketan, your thoughts on at what stage are we when we look at the use of conversational commerce as a tool to reach out to customers, answer their queries? At what stage? Are we in the top gear already?
So first up, thank you for having me here, Ruhail. And my answer is I don't think we are in top gear. Look, I think the idea of conversational commerce is not new. I mean, think about it, almost all of our mothers would have shopped at neighborhood kirana stores and would have almost always had a favorite kirana store that they wanted to go to. And most times that was because there was an engaging conversation that was happening with the shopkeeper, where the shopkeeper was also responding to what input you were giving to them, many times in terms of stocking products, etc. We moved, very, very quickly to a world where e-commerce or digital commerce is happening. And that interface, where the conversation was happening, in a sense, has gone away. I think brands are trying today. You have CRM activity happening. We see the nascent activity happening on WhatsApp today, where brands are trying to talk to consumers. But I don't think it's mature enough yet. I think it's very much still baby steps that brands are taking. At Glamm Group, we are also trying in that journey. For example, on our feminine hygiene brand, Sirona, we run what is called a period tracker on WhatsApp, where we offer both knowledge and solutions, both in terms of education as well as products through a conversational WhatsApp medium. But we've also seen that as we've kind of moved forward with that journey, it's not been easy. We've faced questions that we don't readily have answers to available in the moment. So it's not perfect, but I think steps are being made everywhere.
Rajat, when it comes to the use of these services, is the native bot more important, or is it like a WhatsApp, platform? What really works for brands where customers find it easier to find answers, get real-time updates? Which one is easier?
So we use both. WhatsApp actually is like Ketan mentioned, is far more evolved because of the entire learning that they have. But even on a website, we are seeing some fantastic uh, usage to the point where it makes it easier for us to close the deal, right? So a typical customer coming to the VLC service center will spend excess of 20,000 for a session or for a program. So for them, it's very important that they are very sure of what they're going to, what they're getting into. So we use bots to a point where where there's somebody who then handles them either through a call or through a direct face-to-face interaction, has enough information to give them, and because he's seen the entire history and what kind of questions there, and that is helping us close a deal faster. But we are still not at a stage where a bot or an app can close the entire deal without any human intervention. That's still not possible.
Yeah, and if I can just kind of step into this question as well. From a consumer perspective, when you have an issue or a problem that you're looking for, or information that you're looking for, the brand website is the first port of call. That's where you're naturally looking to go to, right? And therefore, having some kind of interface there, which is usually today in the form of a bot, is critically important. So, on WhatsApp, you still have to make a push to start a conversation with a consumer. But on your website, they're coming in organically looking for a conversation or a solution.
So, Ketan, give me a sense of, the Indian consumer is unique, of course, because they would like to talk to the bot, get a message, and then also want to talk to the real person. When we talk of using a fancy piece of technology, do you think we need to also understand how our consumer behaves? He may not necessarily need that many, what you call touch points for conversational commerce. Do you think the Indian consumer also needs to be kept in mind rather than blindly following global brands who are using these touch points? And are we doing this to suit our markets, or are we just following global brands blindly?
So, first up, anything that we do, in marketing has to start from the consumer. And given that, at least at the Good Glamm Group, most of our consumers are in India today, we are certainly looking to understand what the consumer wants over there. What's happening today, though, that a lot of the solutions that are available are basic, have been made in more developed markets first. And therefore, there are inherent bends and biases that are kind of there. I think there are simple examples available in terms of the accents also that some of the bots can understand. And that is a very, very basic step that needs to happen in terms of being able to at least have a clear conversation with your consumer. But then also the needs and the kind of questions that you get from consumers can absolutely vary depending on where the consumer's from, in which part of India the consumer's from. Kind of questions we get from a consumer from a tier 2, tier 3, or sometimes even from rural are very different from the kind of questions that we can sometimes get from consumers in the metros. And therefore, it's really important that you have clarity on which consumers you really want to serve, and through which mediums, and therefore have the right set of questions, solutions available to respond to those consumers.
You want to add to it, Rajat? We were talking about the regional part of it earlier as well.
So I'll tell you, like you said, our problems in India are very unique. We are perhaps the only country which does a lot of cash on delivery for online sales, right? Now I would love to have a bot which can help me reduce my COD returns. You while a customer is ordering on COD, if I can have a way where I know that this guy is not going to return the packet or not going to accept it later, that is a very big challenge. The second challenge is that the first generation users of e-com. For instance, we've sold from a website, and then when we've called up those guys, or if they have called us and said, "हमने तो Facebook से खरीदा था," so they don't even realize that from Facebook you clicked on a link, you went to a website, you made the entire purchase. They think that Facebook से खरीद के हमने दे दिया. So this is how these guys are. So while as a brand we are saying we have done a very cool thing that we've got them to on the website, The guy on the string said, "मैं तो Facebook से खरीद रहा हूँ." So it's fascinating because what you throw at the customer and what he perceives is entirely different. So we've had a case where you know we were running an offer where we had a beard oil which is very popular, and उसके साथ हमने एक साबुन free दिया. So one guy called us from Barbarian and said कि साबुन लगाने से दाढ़ी आएगी क्या? So half communication. So I'm saying that if bots can help us solve these things, it'll be really, really beneficial. So we have a wish list of things that we want, like we want bots to reduce our dependence on performance marketing. Right now, a lot of traffic to your website is driven through performance marketing. Like Ketan, this is like a constant problem. So if there's a guy comes on our site and we are able to fully satisfy him with all his queries and he doesn't, and we can make a sale, then I'd love to have bots everywhere. But like you said, at what stage the customer is, at what life cycle of his as a brand, ours, that's very important. So we can't completely replicate what an Amazon is doing or what somebody is doing, what H&M is doing in the US, because those guys are really evolved customers and very evolved use cases.
Ketan, do you have any examples, any anecdotes that have made it clear that there's a gap between what brand is trying to say and what the customer is understanding, and which has led to some improvement at the back end?
Yeah, so a fairly recent example, we were giving out gift cards to consumers for future purchases at the Glamm group. And we were giving out e-gift cards, which were basically going on the consumer's email and on WhatsApp as well. And so the orders started going out. We ran the campaign, the orders started going out, and then we started getting a multitude of customer service calls. Customers saying, "Where is my gift card?" They were expecting a physical gift card to happen, over there. And we didn't anticipate it. We thought we were clear in terms of saying that you will get a code on WhatsApp, but they didn't. We clearly were not clear enough. And then when the calls started coming in, we very quickly realized that something has to shift. And therefore, even within the comms that we were giving out, it very clearly became e-gift card, expect a code, and then a follow-up message started happening on WhatsApp the moment the order happened that, along with delivery, your code will arrive over here. So stuff like that, is something that you learn in the moment, and hopefully you don't repeat that in the future.
Great. Rajat, sales and revenue, if we talk about the conversational commerce, what percentage of sales and revenue are being generated through these means as compared to the mainstream e-commerce methods?
Yeah,
in your case?
it's too insignificant right now, because it's, like I said, we're not closing any deals through the conversational commerce. It's taking it to a point where either there's a human intervention or there's a call. So it's coming to that. So I won't be able to comment and give you exact breakdown. But like I said, right now it's not significant.
Yeah, and I would say the same. It's not significant at this point in time, largely because I don't think there's enough confidence as of yet in the ability of the bot or the flow that you've created to be able to fully satisfy what the consumer is looking for. I think when that happens, and when the markers of that start to happen, sort of more investments will start getting pushed behind making sure we can start those conversations, and that's when we'll really see a lot more revenue contribution come out of it.
So a lot of digital marketing experts in the room, a lot of students, some of them, understanding this trade. Rajat, every thing has a playbook to it. Every new technology has a playbook to it. What is the right way to use conversational commerce from your standpoint? What are the best ways that you can deploy it for maximum effectivity?
So I think one is that be very, very sure of what the intent is. Just putting up like you yourself were talking about, I think you mentioned that you raise a query and then the next answer was this session is over. So it's very, very important that we understand what is the objective of that entire bot. The more specific we are, the more results we'll get. The other very important thing is that you need to completely design the entire flow. So I would suggest always do a A/B testing. You know, you try two different outcomes and try two different routes, and then close on the simpler to understand. Make it has to be completely idiot proof. You have to I mean, test it on the most guy who's never probably used a bot or who's probably going to buy for the first time. Make it that basic. Because the guy who's super smart is in any case going to figure out a way to buy, right? So this, for us in India, this is, I would say it's a bigger use case for people who are going to buy online for the first time. And, uh, and, and for me, to make that experience the simplest is the challenge, right? So that is what we're looking at, and that's how we test it. You know, we try to get people who've never bought online to come and try going through the website, getting stuck, and then looking at what kind of questions they raise. So like Ketan mentioned, it's all consumer centric. You start with the consumer, you understand what he wants, where will be his problem be, and then try to answer that. There's no other way to do it.
Ketan?
Yeah, look, I think for me, it boils down to three things. Number one, it has to be hyper personalized. Doesn't it just have to feel that way? It has to be hyper personalized because that is a one-to-one conversation. And therefore, it really has to feel to the consumer like it's just them being talked to versus a flow, in the background that is doing a generic thing. Number two, it has to feel like the consumer is being listened to, and that necessarily means that you need to have intelligent enough answers, even if you're using technology over there, where it feels like the question has been, correctly understood at the bare minimum, even if you don't really have an answer to it, right? And number three, it has to feel as human as possible. Because at the end of the day, when the consumer is coming for a conversation, the very basic of a conversation is that you're talking to someone who's responding, and therefore that someone has to feel like not a machine at the end of it. So I would boil it down to these three factors for conversational commerce to really be kind of reach that level where we're all very confident about how we're working.
Yes, this is right. I think it should feel like a human conversation, not like you're spending 15 minutes and they keep telling you, have we solved your query? How many of you have, of course, all of you have used this, but how many of you have faced an issue while talking to a bot? Any example? Can you say what really happened so that we may, kind of explain it? Yeah. Can we get a mic to this gentleman here?
See, whenever you are using a bot, many a times the questions we are asking are not really in their data bank. So many a times we need a personal touch. We need someone to whom we can really talk personally, but it is not available. Most of the time, you see most of the brands, they are using these AI bots, but personal touch is missing.
Absolutely. You want to add something?
Yeah, I think this is what even I would have come on like recently, like last week only. I was trying to get my Virgin Atlantic tickets changed. Such a renowned airline, but they couldn't give me a solution because the numbers were, no one was picking up the numbers. I had no choice either to cancel my tickets because I was just trying to change my itinerary a bit. Then I had to go back. Like it was literally a pain because the chat was coming again and again. They were directing me to the chat and chat was giving me no solution. I think GoDaddy is one example. What I personally feel after using a lot of chatbots, that they do it beautifully, and there are many other
Right.
platforms also where they be what Rajat was saying, where they have mapped down a consumer's journey very well, that why someone will come on my portal, what
Right.
kind of a queries they can. So they have made it like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 10 steps also,
Got
which is
it.
useful.
So my question, so is there a gap in the use of technology, in the evolution of technology, or is there a gap in the way brands are using this technology which is available, that that's leading to these kind of experiences?
Two, it's the sheer economics of it, right? You need to see whether it is worth investing so much in a tech where so little people are going to use it. So that could be one. But what happens in tech is there is a struggle to a point, and then suddenly it reaches a tipping point when everybody gets access, and it becomes, because of the shared learning, because of the multiple use cases, the problems start getting solved. And we have seen it in multiple cases, even in website UI, ordering. Initially I remember when e-com started, there used to be like maybe 8 or 9 steps to buy, right? Right now, most guys close it in 4 steps. You pick up, add to cart. If your address is already on the website, then it's just a 3-step process, and you move away. So that's evolved. I'm sure that even there are multiple people, very smart people, working to make it simpler. Because at least in India, the really big challenge is what we call and what we love to call Bharat. You know, the entire non-English speaking, non-metro living people, when they start using and start shopping online, which is what the big bet is, which is what everybody is hoping and everybody is putting the money on, when they start buying online and they start using these things, then we'll whether know that, then one, it'll give a scale where it'll become economic, it'll make economic sense to invest as much as possible in this kind of tech. Secondly, you will get all kind of use cases, it's like India is multiple languages. Like I was just reading, Google is also now offering translation in Tulu language, which is a very, very small part of Indians speak Tulu. So, like those guys are doing it, we'll have to implement it at some point and see. And my case is, whoever does it first is going to have a very, very big pie and a big upside.
You want to explain this, where the gap lies, that consumers are facing this kind of experience? Is it in the deployment of technology or the lack of technology that we use?
So I would say it's a bit of both, but the technology, exactly like Rajat said, is going to develop over a period of time. But it will be the brands who are pushing that development who will make it happen. It won't happen on its own. It never does, right? It always starts from trying something, learning, and then kind of developing from there. Look, the fact of the matter is, today, what everybody is basically trying to do is start from a list of questions, and create a database or a bank, and then hope that the consumer's question actually falls within that list, which we've experienced is not always true, right? Which we've experienced, like ma'am mentioned over there, that sometimes there's some things that the bot just doesn't know how to answer. And therefore, I truly believe that as AI develops, I think that solution will come because learning will happen.
Just a quick follow-up question. I mean, how do you decide on the pool of questions? By the way, what is the feedback to that, developing that?
Yeah, so it comes from one, an understanding of the user journeys on your own website that you see, because you know where the users are visiting, what pages they are coming to. It comes from previous questions that have already been asked. So you look at a certain frequency of questions, and you're trying to make sure that you have the largest part of that frequency of questions already covered. And it comes from conversations also with consumers. When you develop a certain piece of flow, you take it to a few people and you start to check whether that makes sense. Is there something else that needs to be added into it? So that's how we're doing it today, basically.
Brands do take this pain to really understand the customer.
If you're serious about it, you will
Yes,
take the pain.
right.
If you're not serious about it and doing a tick mark, then you will not take the pain. It's as simple as that.
Rajat, so bots, I mean, what we understand are primarily Hindi and English. And Bharat is much more than that, so many languages. Is your bot, by the way, also bilingual? Are they still?
No, right now it's in English. Right now it's only English.
English.
But
It's
yeah,
only for India.
Only for India. वो उस पे हम काम कर रहे हैं. We are actually actively working very hard at. But the thing is that, see, it can't just be that the bot is in Hindi or Telugu or Malayalam or whatever, and the entire UI is in English. It needs to flow. The entire experience needs to be one, right? So I'll have to also do the entire website interface in Hindi and the bot in Hindi. Then the flow is seamless. Right now, what's happening is that because we are constrained by technology in terms of converting, I know a lot of guys are working very actively to convert existing website templates into just different languages, but there are a lot of challenges in that. We've tried it, the conversations and translations are right now way off. So once that is, again, that's not something that a company which is a D2C will do it. This is a tech intervention, right? there will be companies or who will do it and give it to us as like a SaaS. It'll come to us like Shopify is giving us a backend,
Plug
or
and play. Yeah.
or Magento is giving us a shopping experience. Developing that for most businesses is not a solution, right? So we are also testing all the time, and once we have that entire interface seamless, then it makes sense to invest in. So the
Yeah,
simpler thing right now really is to make sure that the guy leaves a number so you can call him and ask him. So what we've done is we have in a customer care we have people who speak 7 or 8 languages. So we
At least
that
the
is
lead
our
is generated and then it
finally.
directed to
So if it can come to a point where he says, "Sir, आप अपना number दे दो," and we'll have somebody call you back, and then we speak to him in his desired language and try to guide him through the entire process of how to make the comment. So it's again assisted. So it is human plus bot and good internet speed for this.
What about you, Ketan? Is bilingual or again
No, currently it's English.
English?
And I think exactly the same challenges. And you know, the thing with translation especially is the moment you lose context in the translation, it becomes incorrect and it feels unnatural. And this is not something new. You know, even in the traditional TV world, you know, when you were creating edits for different languages, you know, you would send out your script for translation. What would come back would usually be not great, even though factually correct, but not great. It won't capture the intent of what you were trying to say. And that's exactly what happens the moment you have automated translations. Now, for us especially, you know, our pages are so dynamic. My page on day X is not the same as my page on day X plus one, you know, because we are running this constant churn of creatives happening, this constant churn of content happening, and therefore being able to match up to the speed of that across multiple languages is a huge challenge for us. And therefore, you know, because we don't want to offer a subpar experience in any language, we'd rather not go down that route, you know, till we are a little confident that we can actually do it correct.
There's another element to this deployment of conversational commerce, which is privacy and security. You know, a very critical part of it. And how do brands take these factors into account while implementing conversational commerce? Rajat, from you.
Uh, so when you say what sort of privacy?
Data, I mean, data privacy, you know,
I think there
security
I
protocols.
think now we have some laws. No, some. I know there are laws regarding data privacy, and most companies adhere to that. So I think this is just an extension of those laws. You know, for instance, most companies can't store personal information on their own. It's usually with a payment gateway, and you can't store credit card information. You can't. So that again is carried forward. And lately, I think we've become a little more very concerned about this, and we are very active. Like for instance, we also do audits to make sure that customer data is not on anybody's desktop or is not shared. Because it's all becoming now legal compliances. So you have to do it more because it's legally now very, very important to do it. I know initially people were a little lax about this, but now because of the rules and how they've changed, things have become a far more, which is very good, which is very good for the customer, and it helps prevent data theft and data privacy, and yeah, it increases data privacy, it prevents data theft. That's yeah.
How are you doing it?
Yeah, so first of the laws, obviously, yes. But, you know, you're not operating in a silo. You're operating in an ecosystem with multiple partners. And therefore, the choice of partners becomes absolutely critical over there. You want to work with partners who have, you know, ironclad agreements in place in terms of data privacy. And then you want to make sure that your data backend is secure, and you know you have the strongest security protocols on your data backend. Lastly, even with, you know, whom are you deploying to talk to people? Are you using a third-party agency? Do you have people on the rolls? All of those questions come into play, because, you know, sometimes customers, you know, there is of course the personally identifiable information, but there's sometimes also very, very emotionally sort of information that can be very emotionally damaging if it goes out, that customers can talk about and give. and you want to make sure that those conversations are kind of never going out. So you want to keep control on the ecosystem as much as possible when that happens.
So the tech intervention, I just want to understand, is it all homegrown or is it in-house? Is it globally? Like, I mean, how do you kind of deploy the tech part of it?
So what happens is that you get some pre-existing models, and then your tech team works on them. So you put on plugins. Everything is available. There is a basic, like I said, SAS, services software. So you buy, you rent, or you subscribe to certain services in a bot, and then typically we do is our tech team then works on makes it to more personalized and more suited for us, right? So for instance, if we have a lot of queries of a particular kind, like we get a lot of beard queries. So for Ustra, right? For VLCC services, a lot of slimming queries. So then we try to make sure that that piece gets covered far more extensively than it would have done with a routine service, because they would give equal weightage to so all the points. So we do stuff like that, but it's a mix of both. But we don't develop anything from scratch. Like I said, we're not a tech
You
company.
don't reinvent the wheel.
We don't reinvent it. It's no.
Do you have in-house or do you
No,
also?
it's exactly the same. So, coming back to something that Rajat said a while back, technology develops. And, when someone already has a head start and they've gone through 6, 7, 8, 10, sometimes even 100 iterations of developing something, it doesn't make any sense for you to start from scratch. Most of the models offer enough customization today for you to be able to come in. And if you do your job well enough, then you will cover most of the use cases and questions. The question is, when do you get to a point where you're confident that you're covering enough so that it's not a subpar experience and it doesn't become an experience which turns a consumer off. So that I think is the step that has to happen, but I don't think it will happen with in-house development of tech. That's not what most brands kind of have as a skill set anyway. So it would require
needed
a lot
also,
of
right?
backward/forward integration, whichever way you define it, for that to be developed as a skill.
So what we gather so far is that it's still not fully unleashed its full potential, especially in the Indian context, given the limitations on the linguistic side and plus the kind of technology we are still, deploying. But since we have the AI, layers coming in many ways, so where does it go from here? What do we see happening in the next maybe couple of years that we should be kind of watching out for, Rajat?
So AI also is just a collective lot of common sense, right? Somebody is just putting up all the data that there is and trying to make it meaningful for people. So I remember, a couple of years ago, this was a discussion even with creators and influencers. Anything you start, they would say, "Ab influencer aa gaye, duniya badal jayegi." Happened. So even AI is not going to fundamentally change everything. It will make life easier. It will make decision making easier. But and especially in certain cases where there's a lot of data that needs to be analyzed and assessed. I'm not sure of how much of a marketing decision maybe Ketan will change because of AI. Right? We'll be able to make more informed decisions. Uh, but maybe I'm a skeptic. I don't see such a big revolution happening, at least in what we do, because there's going to be AI involved. It'll make decision making faster, but somebody will have to still decide. Somebody will have to still take the call कि यार ये करना है कि ये करना है. AI can't do that for you. It can just give you everything that there is. Final decision तो I hope हम ही करेंगे.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that being said, in conversational commerce, I actually have some hope. One of the things that I was saying earlier was that you wanted to feel human, right? You wanted to feel like it's listened and you wanted to learn, therefore, and start to kind of also cover cases which the humans haven't thought of. Because, as humans, whenever we are, when you're talking about the process of also generating your flow or questions, there will always be something that gets missed out. And therefore, if you have a piece of technology that can learn on the fly and add it to its data set, right? So that the next conversation after that, there is a response available. Or if not a response available, there's a flag to say, this question we don't have an answer to in our data set. And that can be plugged in quickly. I think that's going to make the pace of conversational commerce bots and the naturalness of the bots, the humanness of the bots in a sense, uh, become a lot better. So I'm actually a little hopeful that, especially on this one aspect, AI can help. And I think there are some examples. A lot of us, I'm sure, talk to Alexa or talk to Google today, right? And you get a response, and sometimes you get a response saying, "Hey, I don't know," but it feels more human, I would say, than
Just
most
listen to
bots.
the voice itself, like
yeah, more human than most bots, but it's actually a piece of AI at the back of it, right? It's a question of how you train the AI and the data set, and the aspect of learning for me, I think, is the most critical one, the automated machine learning that needs to happen. And I think if that happens well, we may actually have a revolution in conversational commerce.
It's happened in China, right? China, they have been able to really crack uh, conversation commerce or social commerce. I don't know how they've done it, but like the WeChat app, which is all in all. So they tried to do it in India, they were not able to do it. But like you said, we are maybe very unique, very different. Uh, so there are cases and there are some sparks here and there. But yeah, I still see that we are some distance away right now.
I always think that there are 4 panelists. The 4th is the audience, okay? So feel free to ask questions, please. And can I request the mic to be passed? Can the mic be passed on to that lady out there?
Afternoon. So, as Mr. Ketan was saying, that context is very important, and then every time there is something new for the board to learn, for the team to learn. So, fortunately or unfortunately, I generally happen to be that customer who tells the board, guys, you need to go beyond this. And so, generally, such things happen to me. It's sometimes very
What
funny.
do they tell you?
I'll just narrate something, like a funny anecdote. So it's like, I generally am the customer who skips all the standard, I'm like, okay, my reason is not listed, so that please connect me to a human. So one day, like, I placed an order through Zomato. I'm such a loyal customer. I've never installed Swiggy in my app. And why I remember this incident, because in the hall right next to us, there's some Swiggy event going on. So, and that day, for some reason, I had like more than 8 guests at home, and it was a very critical time bound order, and it showed on my app that it has been delivered. So now I connect with their usual bot, the chat, and I can't understand. I called the delivery person, and then he's telling me, "मैंने दे दिया order." I called him again, and then he says a completely different address. Now I simply bypass the whole bot process, and then this lady senior manager who is on the line, and I tell her, look, you're not able to identify the problem. All of you are correct at your own ends, but what probably happened, like I'm racking my brains, hua kya? Because it was like a 3,000 plus order. I'm like, deliver ho gaya, kisko chala gaya? So then I called up the delivery guy again, and I re-heard the address, and I'm like, are you sure this is what you got? So I tell the lady on the line that he got the wrong label from the restaurant. Imagine. When they stick those receipts on the packets. So
Right.
I had to figure it out at my end, that how come everybody is right and I still didn't get the food. So
Right.
वो तो chatbot में कहीं है ही नहीं वो problem.
yeah, so also shows that the human intervention,
Are you in
So-
customer care? You should be in customer care. Yeah.
I should be sharing my use cases actually.
That's what
for
I'm saying.
the-
Because
So,
you're able to
and
analyze it.
imagine, I remember
Right.
this incident because Swiggy is here, and I mentioned it on the chat too, that this is so humiliating. I've been writing on Zomato platforms since 2009. Imagine.
Right. I just want
So,
to bring in, this also shows that the bot cannot exist without the human intervention. It's incomplete. Do you agree to that?
100% it is. I think the holy grail is that you should be able to dial a customer care number or click on I want to talk and actually talk to a human. It's the simplest thing that could happen, but it's commercially, of course,
So, and of course,
incredibly
those
difficult
two
to do.
people couldn't figure out what went wrong. So I just, by the law of deduction, I was like, "Zarur, restaurant ne
Yeah, I
wrong
think you did
label
the
place kar
intelligent
diya
thing.
hoga." And
this-
they give me like a good discount coupon also. So I was like,
we have one more
"Achha."
question there, two more. Can I request the gentleman to take the mic to that person?
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't think so. It's the right time to ask this question because I'm the guy who is linked with a company who makes these chatbots. So I'm very
Wonderful.
sorry for
Yes, we
that.
should catch you then.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm sorry. So like I was linked with this company called Sprinkler, which, as you just mentioned, they provide this software as a service, so like for the chatbots and all. But I've like noticed that a lot of these chatbots are towards the customer experience and the customer, like post-sale services part of the value chain. But I want to ask, like, as a brand owner, how do you feel about these chatbots not playing that integral part in the marketing side? Like, I just saw this campaign from Nika where they were trying to tell that the products which they are selling are customized towards your own skin type and all. So, like, I don't know what my skin type, etc., is, but my friends do know. So, like, from a marketing perspective,
Can
how
it be
does a
deployed?
brand plan on that?
So I think this becomes very easy if you are a regular user on a website, right? If you've been coming to the website regularly and you log in, so we know your purchase history, we know what you've bought, we know what kind of, and then suggestions can be far simpler. But typically, imagine a scenario where you're a regular user, and right now you're there to buy a gift for somebody, right? So you're not buying for yourself. Again, that's a situation where the bot is suggesting you things based on your history, but right now you're looking for something totally different. I think because the very nature of marketing or purchasing is so dynamic and is so different every time, that it's very difficult to get the entire flow and possible answers. So like you said, post sales, registration, customer complaint, these are slightly more standardized. And you will have like 5 cases, or in a case like others. So those are the ones which stick. Maybe because it is so dynamic and so many different variables at play that it's difficult to do it for the. But we're trying in the services piece. We are trying. We're trying to guess if a person is browsing at a certain area. Like if you're spending more time on laser or Botox, is that what she's looking at, or is it just a general? You're browsing and seeing what is possible. So I say, hey, but
Right.
yeah,
You
it's
you wanna
not
add?
easy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But correct. But in a lot of cases, if you're a regular buyer, we understand that every 6 months you buy one shampoo, not every 6 months, every 2 months. Yeah. If the need is changing, then yeah.
Sorry, so I
then-
want to bring in Ketan here. You want to?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, by the way. We want it to be. There's no doubt about it. I think Rajat was also saying, today we want to reduce our dependence on performance marketing, right? We all do. It's natural. We want it to be more than just customer service, and we want it to be leading to both the start of the commerce journey as well as the education / content journey, right? We want it to be part of both the use cases. It's a question of today it not working well enough. It's not that the experimentation is not there. The experimentation is there. I was talking about the Sirona period tracker. The period tracker does both these jobs, right? But we see challenges. We see challenges in terms of the completion rates of the journey. We see challenges in terms of people dropping off after 1 or 2 or 3 months of being on the period tracker, even though literally every period we're sending a reminder, right? Because for most people they are like fairly regulated. So we are sending those reminders. We are sending the notifications, but we are still seeing that there's a drop off happening. So I think it's a question of at some point we'll arrive at a place where we feel confident that now we can really start pushing this out and making this bigger.
We have a final question, and then we close the session. The lady out there, yeah.
Yeah. So my question
Can you
is,
also, which company and your name? Yeah.
so okay, I'm Sweetie. I'm the growth manager at Savari Car Rentals. Right. So my basic question, like I have two questions with regards to conversational commerce, right? So first is when humans itself are not equipped with all the edge cases, not just edge cases, but even basics or even basic problems that a user faces while purchasing something or while making a decision, right? How do you expect bots to evolve?
Actually, I expect bots to do better because see the challenge with humans is everyone is different, right? And therefore, let me give an example, right? So we also sell in offline stores, right, where we have beauty advisors who sell product for us to consumers, and that's actually conversational commerce happening, even though it's happening offline over there. We download the same trainings to every beauty advisor at the same frequency, but the level of pickup and understanding and delivery is very, very different, right? However, with a bot, that should not be the case. And with the bot, as you keep adding more knowledge, as you keep adding more edge cases, you don't expect the previous ones to not be remembered or forgotten. Or, you don't expect that today you have one person over there and tomorrow you'll have someone else and therefore you'll have to train them all over again, right? So I actually expect bots to do better. The biggest challenge will be how do we make them actually feel more human? Even when they don't have an answer, how does the empathy come through? How does the understanding of the fact that the consumer has a problem or needs some information come through? How does the bot come back and say, hey, I don't know this today, but let me come back to you at a later stage in a manner that still makes the user understand that, there is something over here.
Right. And I hope the humans will spare the bot for that. But thank you so much for joining us on this conversation. And thank you for all the questions.